I think it might be beginning, but I don't think we're very far along because I don't think they have yet begun to fight. I mean, they are going to be tenacious. Look at what they've done with the lawsuits under the Freedom of Information Act. They are resisting. They're fighting it. Those court cases are going to go on for years. They're going to fight this. They're going to resist and argue about turning over records. So it's not going to be real easy. I think what will happen when you have a dramatic change will be when the dollar quits working. I just think they're going to fight us tooth and nail, and it's going to be very, very difficult. They'll find the ways to further imprison people who demand that they use silver and gold. So I just think that it'll be runaway inflation, high interest rates, where the American people will say, yeah, I think we were told about this Federal Reserve, and we need to do more. And then they'll lose all credibility. And besides, printing the money won't help that much. The more they print, the worse it'll be. Right now, they printed a lot of money to try to patch the system together. And in some ways, they have patched it together, but they dumped all the bad assets on the taxpayer. You can't have a wealthy country by doing that. That has to have bad results. But when the dollar collapses, there's nowhere else to go.
Congressman, I don't even pretend to know what's best to suggest you do tomorrow in these hearings, but I know you're a very polite, focused, intelligent, scholarly person. I would just encourage you to call them out and to be as aggressive as possible because that more firmly cements you as the leader. And I think you're the man for the job against these people. And I would also hope that you would entertain, and perhaps I would ask now what your opinion is of this, to bring up the conflict of interest issue, that you have this revolving door between Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan Chase and the governors of the private Fed like Geithner, Paulson, Bernanke, the campaign contributions to both parties, of course, Barack Obama getting 4 times the Goldman Sachs money, almost 5 times that John McCain got. I really think if you just discredit them out of the gates, that's the one thing that I've noticed in these hearings, and I've watched scores of them. I know you've been in scores of them. I watch them at night when I get home. I record it, hours of it, and that's seems to be the cross or the holy water to the vampires, just to call these people out that they're the ones that changed the regulations, they're the ones that created the derivatives, they're the ones that are a revolving door in their robbing the bank.
Well, there'll be a limit to how much of that I can do because I'll have a 5-minute opening statement and 5 minutes to quiz the individuals. But they're not sending the people that would that you could really hit on those questions. They're sending the general counsel. Now, he's going to be a legal guy. He's going to explain the law and that sort of thing. They're going to hide behind the technicalities of the law. But I think your suggestions are good. We should call on them, but I will have to decide tomorrow exactly how I'm going to hit them and what the atmosphere is like.
Sure, we don't want to let the cat out of the bag or let them know our plan of attack to defend the republic. But clearly, if you say, sir, because obviously you're going to be asking him questions for a future hearing, can you go back and ask him how the Treasury Department and the Federal Reserve gives itself waivers to allow them to give money to institutions they own stock in?
Yeah. Well, it should be shocking, but unfortunately, that's about the way they run everything. They're always, skirting the law. It's only the people who have to, if they have any infraction on not obeying an illegal law or disobeying or obeying the Constitution, then the roof comes down on us. But for them, that's, just routine activities. But they should be called on it, and that's exactly where the American people are waking up. They're sick and tired of hearing it, and the more they hear it, the better.
Congressman, looking at this, just a pep talk to the people, not that they need much of one. Folks are seeing victory. They're smelling blood. They know that the Federal Reserve, the private cartel, isn't invincible. But Congressman Grayson pointed out in the last hour, you in 1983 first introduced this audit the Fed bill, and then now here we are 25, 26 years later, and even though it may take a few more years to really have victory over these people, we are now, I believe, in the end game here. And can you speak to the power of perseverance and focus? You literally on the front lines, toiling to do this. And then what is it like for you to actually see Jerusalem, to actually be going into the promised land, to now be able to look over the mountain, and after this 10,000-mile journey, you're now only a few hundred miles away.
I don't like to address that in a personal way as much as in general. I think if an individual wants, if a person wants to change things, they have to deal in principle. They have to have an ability to state it clearly, and they have to persevere. Perseverance, I think, is very, very important, but you have to have truth on your side, and eventually you do win. Actually, I did not believe we would get this far. I did not believe that the campaign that we ran last year would get very far. So it was much more encouraging to me to realize that there were a lot of people. I believed when I came to Congress, matter of fact, when I ran, I never thought I was even coming to Congress. When I came, I thought, well, my role and responsibility is to try to leave a record to saying, you know, what would it be like if you had somebody that took the oath of office very seriously? How would that person vote? Realizing, you know, what I was up against, because I realized and I would use the term, you can't really run against Santa Claus, that you're not going to get reelected. So I was surprised I got elected, surprised I got reelected, but pleasantly surprised to find out that this attitude of perseverance and standing for principle, you know, really can bring about, you know, good results. So I'm pleased with it, but it's the power of the ideas more than my personal abilities, quite frankly.
Well, sir, I appreciate your humbleness. I'm not here trying to lavish praise on you for praise's sake. I think as a model or an example of perseverance, you are the standard. You're the blood of courage. And I want you to know that, I want you to know I have 3 children, just like you have a lot of children and grandchildren. And I care about them. And I know that we're going to be a third world hell if you're not successful, if I'm not successful. And I just really do admire you, and I know for everybody out there, we want to thank you for all you've done.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that, and evidently our numbers are much bigger than any of us knows. You know the story about the remnant. Nobody can count the remnant. Nobody knows where they are, but they're out there, and I think we each and every one of them are looking for each other, and it's just great to find allies. I always tell people in my crowds, I said, you know, I don't know what tomorrow will bring, and I don't have, I don't have over expectations. But in the meantime, we ought to have an enjoyment of associating with like-minded people and having these goals and ideals, because at least we can say that we made the effort and we communicated. But fortunately for us today, we have seen some fruits of our labor. Can you imagine fighting this battle in 1939 or sometime back then when the New Deal was in and then the world empire was really starting, the militarism of the world? I would have thought back in 1938 and 39 in the Roosevelt era, it must have been pretty humbling for those who were trying to hold these principles together.